Hi friends, and welcome to the official CCL Halftime Show, name still pending, presented by Roll20. I'm Gilly, here with Cattlepillar, tank player for the Sidestep Kings. Hey Cattle, how's it going?
Hi Gilly, it's going great.
Good to hear. Congrats on your last win last week.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pretty good series for us.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch. Now I have a lot of important questions, including about that series, but my most important and pressing question, in your winner's interview, your cat made a cameo. What is your cat's name, and can we expect more cameos?
There's two of them. The one we saw, I think, was a collie, and there's a second one who's still a kitten. Her name is Ripley, and yeah, they're definitely around. I think Ripley's under my desk somewhere right now, and I'm sure they'll show up again. Is
Ripley like from Aliens? Is that Ripley? I think so. What's Ripley from?
Yeah, we adopted her with that name already and liked it. Didn't change it, but that's what I say it's from, because that's the coolest Ripley.
Definitely coolest Ripley, for sure. All right, so also in that winner's interview, you had mentioned that your team, you guys have some really good kind of natural synergy, especially around macro. And I found that interesting, considering you have players from every major region that we have represented in CCL. So that could have been a big clash of playstyles, potentially. Where do you think that natural synergy really comes from, or comes into play for you guys?
I would say we got, I guess, a little lucky with it, just that everyone kind of seems to prefer this, like the macro playstyle, outside of, I'm probably like on the more aggressive side looking for picks a lot, but I think that's a good balance, because then like you never end up losing too much soak or anything looking for picks that might not happen, especially with Medallion in the game. So yeah, it's working out great so far, and it's good for Kyocha too, just because he's playing on pretty high ping.
Yeah.
But the more macro, the better for that.
I actually wanted to ask you specifically about Medallion, because we've seen a lot of people be pretty outspoken about it. And I think it was Fury tweeting about it this last week. You, as a tank player specifically, how do you feel about Medallion in the game?
I personally don't like it, just because, in my opinion, and I'm sure some people will disagree with me, but I think tank already as a role is pretty weak, and you don't really have a lot of things you can do, and I think Medallion kind of limited that even more. So at this point, I've kind of just embraced it, and I spend my time just like collecting medallions and sitting in bushes, and that's pretty much it. But it's okay, but I definitely prefer the game without it.
Yeah, collecting medallions, kind of like the new version of Blackheart's Bay, maybe.
Yeah, basically.
Well, on the topic of, you guys preferring macro and it favoring Kyocha, where do you expect for your team to be excelling at by the time we reach the end of the season and you all have had that time to gel together as a team?
Honestly, I think we should be solid pretty much on everything. I think drafting is going to be where we come out a little bit ahead. A lot of the drafting we've been seeing, I don't really agree with, and I don't think is that good. And Kyocha's a really good drafter and has all the secret Korean meta that I think it's been giving us an edge, and I think it's going to give us a better understanding of the game meta overall compared to other teams.
Where do you see, can you give maybe not specific teams, or maybe heroes, maybe not, but just where you see some of the drafting failing going in, or is that giving away too much strategy to other teams?
Probably don't want to touch too much on that.
Okay, I understand. One other draft question I had was that we saw you get some Malganath play, and I know you talked about in the winner's interviews, maybe a little more surprising to you than you anticipated in a draft. Was that because of the changes that he had in the most recent patch? Was it more mainly how the drafts played out, and then where you see him really fitting into a draft?
That was pretty much purely based off of their draft and not ours, and I personally doubt I'll ever play Malganath again. I don't see it happening. I think he's just very, very niche. He's okay, in very low CC games, like that one was, like low CC, low burst. But that just happens so rarely that I don't think I'll see him much.
Who are your favorite tanks to play right now?
I definitely like Garrosh a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a fan of Mei, even though she's a little weaker right now, and I like Varian and Diablo as well.
All right. Looking forward to seeing more of those. Now, one thing I really like about CCL, and especially goes for Sidestep Kings, is we see this really cool blend of old personalities, old HGC, especially for you guys, even champions, and then bringing in some of these new players that maybe were in open division that we didn't really get to see their full potential of. So, looking at players like Ultralisk and Got Filth, adding to you guys' foundation, what strengths do you feel like those two players add to Sidestep Kings?
I think they're very solid players that don't have a huge amount of competitive experience compared to all the ex-HGC players, and I think that just the fact that they're already this solid and they still have room to grow just gives them a ton of potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, especially, I think we were a little more familiar with how good Ultralisk was already.
Yeah.
And Gotfelt was like a little more of a wild card, but I definitely got the right impression from seeing him in Storm League, and I do think he's really solid, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, you guys looked very strong. You only dropped the one game, and that's the first game curse maybe for you. So talking about and looking at kind of the first week of play across the board for all of the teams, are you comfortable putting teams into a power ranking, or at least saying, like, I think these teams are the strongest for now and these other teams, still have a lot to work on?
I'll say that crowd control looks very solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think 30K is pretty solid as well, but I think they have some things to work on. And I'd say I'm most scared of Oxygen because they definitely look like they have the potential to be the best,
mm-hmm.
just depending on how good their draft meta ends up working out. And I don't think anyone else is far behind.
Yeah.
We're definitely not taking anyone lightly, but yeah, Oxygen is on my radar.
Okay. Well, looking at the immediate future for you and the rest of the team, this weekend you're going to be facing Granite Gaming. What are your thoughts on that particular team and your matchup versus them?
I think they've definitely been struggling a little bit still, but that also means that if they get everything going properly, then they might be just a stronger team than we expect. So
mm-hmm.
we're not taking it lightly, and we're just going to keep just trying out the drafts we think are good to go with, and then as long as we play solid and I don't run it down too hard, it should be fine.
Keep playing your game. Don't run it down. Don't underestimate them. Got it. Solid game plan. So I think that's pretty much it for my questions. Are there any shout outs that you'd like to give before we close it out?
Just shout out to Sidestep Kings, shout out to our team, and shout out to our sponsor, Flash Gaming, who make esports gear with ergonomics and performance in mind, and you can check them out in chat with the command Sidestep. And yeah, just cheer us on.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the CCL Halftime Show. Thank you all for watching, and thank you, Cattle, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.